Welcome to Politics Done Right. I am your host, Egberto Willies. This is a progressive program that will take the mystery out of politics. This is the program that will encourage you to make sure government becomes we the people. Whether you are liberal, progressive, conservative, or otherwise, you get to air your point of view. We are an independent media outlet that, unlike mainstream media beholden to corporations, we only owe allegiance to you. Remember, you can also send me a tweet at EGBERTOWILLIES. That is at Egberto Willies. Let us engage. It is Politics Done Right. Well, folks, welcome to one more edition of Politics Done Right. I'm Egberto Willies, your host. Thank you so kindly for being a part of the show. We are going to have un super show today, man. How are everybody doing? I trust everybody's doing just fine. Welcome aboard. First in line in the house today, El Senor Michael Rudden, Brooklyn, New York. Avery Herod, Atlanta, Georgia. We also have Lita Bearcat, Austin, Texas. Patrick Magner says meow from Houston, Texas. Lita Bearcat, Austin, Texas. Lynette is in. She says, good afternoon, Bart Catalfio. I haven't seen all the people in the chat yet because, again, we missed the first few dozen. Mary Jane Keys, welcome aboard. Joanne, welcome aboard. I think that's Joanne from Los Angeles, California. Is that right? Give me, hey guys, if the chat comes in late, so throw your city and state so I can acknowledge you. You know, as I said this morning on the show, I love to tell folks hello as we get started. Anyway, we are going to have a great show for you today. How is everybody doing? I trust we're all doing fine. Chat's right on time on Switch. Yay, I love to hear that. We also have the roots of education are bitter, but the fruit is sweet. Aristotle. 1,000 languages on earth own no words for rape, massacre, or genocide. They use fruit. Others feed them. Aristotle meant catch your rabbit before you pretentiously tell others you are cooking rabbit. I ask you to read this post, Inventing Antifa by Sarah Kendor. All right, thank you for that. Inventing Antifa. I trust it's a good post. Let me go ahead and bookmark that. You know, when my people tell me to do certain things, I'm talking about the ones who are always giving me good advice. Brother E2247, Michael Rudnin, and others, thank you for that. Let me bookmark that baby, and then I can actually get busy, but I want to bookmark it first because that is something I think is very interesting to read, brother. I think it's a must. Okay, bookmarked. All right. Okay. Anybody else in the fold that came in? Kimmy Wynn, welcome aboard as well. Marge KJ, how you doing, beautiful? Great to have you here. If I missed you, just throw it back in there. We have Little Bit and Lakia's mama. Ha! I love that. Little Bit and Lakia's mother. No, not mother. She said mama. And Lakia's mama. Welcome aboard. Eric in from Kingwood, Atascocita as well. All right, let's get started. Where do I get started? This is healthcare time, right? Hello, Kimmy. Let me just say this, guys. Let me just say this. Love you too, Kimmy. Love you too, beautiful. Love you too. Let me just say this, guys. I'm gonna start with healthcare. I wasn't going to start there, but there is a influencer that we had on, I think, a couple of times, on one time or two times. I don't quite remember on this program. And she was in Italy, I believe, with hubby. And I want you to hear her stories. I want you to hear her story because it should make us want to go ahead and do something. I wonder often, why is it we are not more mad? And as you can see, I'm buying time as I try to get to the place that I'm trying to get on the screen right now. But I'm getting there. I am getting there, and I'm getting there. My internet is doing just fine. It's me who is screwing up. But my screw up is about to end. I think. I think my screw up is my screw up has ended. And what I want to do is I want to show you her story. And remember, she's been on our program before, but check this out.
America is not nearly as upset as we should be about the state of our healthcare situation. Just in Italy and Switzerland for 3 weeks, and my boyfriend met me there halfway through my trip. And he has this medical thing going on where it comes and goes. Sometimes it's an issue, sometimes it's not. When it raises its ugly head, he goes to the doctor, gets a prescription, and gets his medicine, and he's all better in 5 to 7 days. So when it reared its ugly head again, we were in Italy, Florence and Pisa, and he's freaking out. He's calling his doctor, trying to figure out how he's going to get his medication that he needs to feel better and function. Because in the U.S., it requires a doctor visit and a prescription and then a visit to the pharmacy, and the doctor has to call in your prescription to the pharmacy, and then you wait, and the whole thing costs, $400 or $500? So we're in Florence, and I said, babe, why don't you see that building over there that says Pharmacia? Why don't we go over there and see if they have what you need? Because we know what you need. We don't need a doctor visit. We just need the meds. He's like, no, there's no way. They're never going to give it to me. I don't have a prescription. I haven't seen my doctor. I haven't been, referred to them. I'm just a guy off the street. I said, honey, but that's how universal health care works in other countries. I know you've been growing up in this dysfunctional wasteland that is America, but it doesn't have to be this hard, and in the rest of the world, it's not. So he resisted it for a day, but by day 2, he was really suffering. So I finally prevailed upon him to go to the Pharmacia. So he goes online, takes a picture of the meds that he needs. He still has not heard back from anyone in the United States, by the way. Left several messages, called his doctor, cannot get in to see a doctor, cannot get the prescription. He's suffering. We walk over to the Pharmacia, lovely Italian lady behind the desk. We show her a picture from the internet of the drugs that we need. She nods, goes back to a drawer, opens the appropriate drawer, brings the meds back, shows them to him. It's in English. We can read it. We know exactly what it is. It even has the little Pfizer logo in the upper right-hand corner. It's made by Pfizer. It's the exact same stuff he uses in the United States. It's a miracle. How much could this possibly be? 10 euros. 10 euros. Because the dollar's so weak, that's about, $12.50? It would have cost him $400 in the United States. He would have had to have gone to see the doctor, paid the copay for the doctor visit, gotten the prescription, waited, gone to CVS, gotten the prescription filled, and it's like $180 in the United States to get the prescription filled, and a whole shitload of rigmarole. And he pays a ton for insurance, too. This is all covered by his insurance. Imagine if it was just out of pocket in the U.S. 10 euros. America, we are not nearly angry enough about the state of affairs. America's...
Yes, and Deborah is correct. She's been on our program before. She's absolutely correct about this. We are not sufficiently angry. I want to point this out, folks, and I think it is incumbent on us to tell a lot of these stories. Here's the problem. There are not a lot of MAGAs with passports. There are not a lot of Americans who travel around the world. Enough. I'm not talking about those in the know. We have a lot of people in the know. I mean, most people would want good health care, but they don't know what's capable, what's possible. They don't. But when you go to countries that many a times we think we're ahead of, when you go to Italy and find out how easy it is to get health care that's affordable, what would have cost them $500 in the United States cost them $12 in Italy. Because all he needed was the meds. But the regulations that we have to go through because of insurance companies, etc. here, makes it unbearable. If Americans would just understand single payer is great healthcare. Healthcare does not belong in the private markets. Why, people? Why? Because the private markets are doing what they're supposed to do. Their charter is to maximize the profits for their shareholders. There's nothing wrong with that. It just doesn't belong in healthcare. Because in healthcare, we're not seeking profit maximization. We're not seeking to give the biggest profits to people. We're just seeking to get healthcare, to get cured. And it is something we don't want dependent on only getting that service if you can afford to make a rich guy richer, an executive a bonus. This is not rocket science. They make you believe that if you unprivatize healthcare, if you unprivatize paying for healthcare, that somehow it is communism, socialism. It is socialism. But is socialism a bad thing in certain sectors? Hell no. You want me to tell you how I know that? Because corporations want it. We socialize corporations whenever whenever a nuclear plant is built. We socialize that nuclear plant that says if for some reason some accidental thing occurs and radiate the area, you are not responsible. You don't have to be responsible as long as you didn't break the law. Many companies have special socialization that prevent them in the case of injury to people that they're safe. When they drill our lands and take our oil, socialization. That's what it is. As I explained today, I had the honor of being on the Attitude with man, where's my mind? On the Attitude, it's a program out of the Northeast, and Arnie Arneson. Look it up, the Attitude on Arnie Arneson. I was a guest on Arnie Arneson today, and one of the things I'd said is like, I don't want to kill capitalism at all. I just want to put capitalism in its place. I want our economy not to be an ideology. I want capitalism placed where it needs to be. If you want to have a pizza shop, you can capitalize it. If you want to have a clothing store, capitalize it. If you want to have a grocery store within certain legal realms, capitalize it. But if you want healthcare, socialize it. You want electricity, socialize it. You want all these other items that are of necessity to people. Profit motives is a killer. The profit motive in certain sectors are equivalent to having a target on your back. So therefore, I want capitalism there for areas where people want to use it, for areas that merit it. But I definitely don't want it in healthcare. And you know what? What Deborah Rain just told you that happened to her, I've heard these stories over and over and over again. When we used to have Occupy Kingwood, where we occupied that corner for 52 consecutive weekends. I remember a woman coming to me and saying, I was in Germany. I got sick. When first of all, I got taken care of without paying anything. And after that, I went to get my medicine and I paid the 12 or 15 or whatever amount of money, a little bit of money. And by the time she got back from Germany, guess what happened? She got $1.20-something check because she had overpaid for the medicine. Let me tell you, there are countries that are humane. There are countries that look out for its people. And then there are countries that ridiculously take our profits, and we have to stand up for that. We are the ones that have to stand up to the system and stop being hoodwinked. Stop being hoodwinked by these people. Folks, look, That is why we do what we do. Right, Patrick? I'm watching you, Patrick. That is why we do what we do. We know that most people don't know this. The fact that many MAGA doesn't have passports to be able to go around the world and see what the rest of the world can afford themselves of. It's a danger. That's why they want to keep you dumb, folks. If you don't read and know that these things are out there, all you've got is she says this, he says this. That liberal says this, that other one says this. But you know what they can't get away from? They can't get away from stories. One of the things I've learned over time is that knowing all the statistics and the numbers and all the and drawing the graphs and all of that doesn't necessarily get to people. But you know what gets to people? Stories. And you see Deborah's story with her boyfriend? That gets to people. I did a piece on Norway. A guy moved after, I think it was after Bush got elected, he could take the Republican ideological disaster, the Republican ideological assassination. He could take it no more. So he moved his family to Norway. They're all in Norway. And he gave me a full interview that actually I think that's one of them that went viral on Norway and how their system operates. And unfortunately for him, his son got into an accident skiing down a mountain, broke his back or something like that. And he explains how that country nursed him back to health. It costed him nothing more than the taxes he pays. Nothing more than the taxes he pays. Healthcare is not free. We all collectively, with our taxes, can pay for healthcare. If we get rid of the thugs in healthcare, if we get rid of the criminals in healthcare, and these are legal criminals, we could get somewhere. Anyway, folks, I'm going to let that one drop for now. Welcome aboard, Sushi Felak. Is that you, Cindy? I think that's you, Cindy. Athena SW, welcome aboard. Deborah Cameron, Candice Harris, Teresa Egan, LBW, La Profesora está aquí. You guys know I love teachers. I think they're the best thing since apple pie. They make the world go round. And look, every time you hear me address a teacher, I'm always going to start it like that for those who are going to get bored from hearing that, because that's the most important profession. That's the one who moves knowledge forward. But teachers, as you do your teaching in school, please, whether you're a science teacher, an English teacher, a history teacher, a geography teacher, whatever you are, please, in your commentary, where it has nothing to do about school, just tell people about these stories about what happened in other countries, because these are kids that will never hear about it, never see it. Let's tell people about it. And you don't have to do it in a way that in Texas would get you in trouble. You can do it in a way by just telling stories. Telling the stories of your friends. Telling the stories about my friend in Italy. Her husband got in prison. And guess what? You know, man, if I was here, it would have cost me $400. Guess what it cost her over there? $10. And end the discussion there. You don't have to go into sermonizing after that. That story will tell its own, because the next time that kid needs to go to the doctor, and that mother says, oh, we can't do this because it's going to cost too much, that kid will rationalize on their own. And that kid is going to say, Ma, you know, in Italy, if you get sick, you only pay $12. I mean, people, even in communist states like Texas, where they try to take all your rights away, you can start educating kids by taking them right up to the part of critical thinking and let them finish. Teachers, are you hearing me? You can, without getting into trouble, you can tell stories. No analysis. You can tell stories. Look, I'm over. You know what I'm doing, Redden. You know what I mean by communist Texas, buddy. But so folks, teachers, you can actually get that job done. Think about it. When that kid goes home and says, Ma, in Italy, They only get it for $9, $12. You can use the kids to educate the parents. That's one of the techniques that Obama used, you know. When Obama became president, the country wasn't ready for Obama. But Obama went to Southwest Texas State University. I think that's what it was called then. Obama went to all these universities and convinced these kids why this new way was the way. Unfortunately, he got rid of OAF, Obama for America, OFA. Big mistake, but that is what the establishment did, of course. They forced us about, convinced them to do it. If we had kept Obama for America, OFA, as in its initial instantiation, man, how great things would have been. So, folks, think about it. Obama went to the kids, and the kids went home. I remember here in Kingwood, folks, it scared me to death. I was going to parties at many Republicans' homes in Kingwood. And I remember coming home to my wife many a times and said, this stuff is scaring me. This can't last. I know America. America's not ready for this stuff. And I would tell my wife that over and again, over and again. I remember going over to Atascocita, and this woman and her blue-eyed blonde daughter with the O for Obama on her face, on her cheek, and her driveway painted with the O. You remember that Obama O? And I came home again, another Republican home that was. And I came home to my wife. I don't know what's happening here. And again, it was the kids getting to the parents. It was the kids getting to the parents, because you have a soft heart and you start to think about what they're saying, because it's not that pinko liberal talking to the parent. And you're not even with the school, you're not even making policy. You're just giving information. And they are critically thinking. Anyhow, you know what, folks? Canada. No, before that, let's just do a quick Letitia. Let's do a quick Letitia James. I love how Letitia James handled being arraigned today. Check this out. We'll take it on the other side. Donald Trump thought by persecuting the only AG that has gotten full convictions on him, Letitia James, AG of New York, and few others, that somehow that would cower them. Well, it turns out Letitia James is not cowering, and she came out swinging. Listen to this, and then we'll take it on the other side. This is what she did as she got, I think it was arraigned or went to give her plea. Check this out. We'll take it on the other side.
I want to thank all of you. I want to thank all of you. I want to thank each and every one of you. I want to thank you for your prayers. I want to thank you for your emails. I want to thank you for your support. It has strengthened my spirit and it has anchored my souls. And so I want to thank you. But this is not about me. This is about all of us. And about a justice system which has been weaponized. A justice system which has been used as a tool of revenge. This justice system which has been used as a tool of revenge. And a weapon against those individuals who simply did their job and who stood up for the rule of law. And a justice system which unfortunately is nothing being used as a vehicle of retribution. But my faith is strong. And my faith is, I have this belief in the justice system, in the rule of law, and I have a belief in America and all of its individuals who have stood with me, not only in New York, but all across this nation. I've heard from just about every jurisdiction in this nation who have said, stand up and be tall. and never ever cow down or back down.
No fear.
Or break or bend.
No fear.
So there's no fear today. No fear. No fear.
No fear.
No fear. No fear. Because I believe that justice will rain down like water and righteousness like a mighty stream.
Preach.
And I'm here to say that my work and my job and all that I do, all throughout my public career, I've stood up for the rights of New Yorkers and Americans, and I will not be deterred. And I will not be deterred. I will not be distracted. I will do my job each and every day, and that's why I'm headed back to New York, because there's work to be done, standing up for the rule of law. God bless you and thank you all, and I appreciate you.
Now, Donald Trump may think, this guy's a child. He knows he cannot win these cases, but he just wants to harass these people, right? But you know what? In the process of doing this, it's going to present to his own people how petty he really is, as each one of these guys get off because they've done nothing wrong. And when you keep losing in court, as he will, as he try to persecute, not prosecute, persecute these people on his enemies list, every one of them that's released will drop his credibility. But you know what? The MAGA base that he has doesn't really care about that. For them, it's about how mean they can be. But most of the country aren't his MAGA base. And once we realize that, it'll take a hell of a lot of pressure. It'll take a hell of a lot of stress. His time is coming, and the time of those who supported him is coming. And I tell you better, it is imperative that when this is all over, it is imperative when this is all over, that the leaders of this movement not only be persecuted, but be jailed and held up for the treason they've effected on this country. All of our country's problems, from polarization to ignorance on domestic and international issues to a complete misunderstanding of our economic and healthcare systems, are a direct result of a derelict mainstream media. Yes, it's a direct result of the derelict media. Absolutely so. Exactamente así. Let me go ahead. I have to finish. I was in the middle of posting something while that video was playing, and I need to finish that. But anyway, folks, so I love what Letitia had to say. And what I love most of all is that she came out swinging. In other words, she have no fear. And you know what Donald Trump, as a paper tiger, fears? He fears those without fear. Remember that. Donald Trump fears those without fear. And once we realize that, guess what happens? One starts to be able to get what they need to get done. I love it. I love it. I love it. Letitia hits the nail on the head. But you know what's happening right now? You know this stuff with Canada? Let's go ahead and play that one. What time is it? Oh, I better play it now. Let's go ahead and do my Canada piece, and then we'll move on from there. The truth is a clear and present danger in the Trump administration. It turns out that all Canada did was put a truthful statement made by and directly in the voice of Ronald Reagan that pointed out that extensive tariffs will actually cause a financial collapse, an economic collapse. It's not up for debate. I mean, we knew what happened in 29. We can also look at the pathways of the current money that Donald Trump is extracting out of the economy with tariffs. And because that money isn't circulating around the people who would actually spend it. Remember, this money is being taken away from people with the least of us, the ones who, whenever they have $1, they spend it, which equates to economic activity. and it goes into the coffers and used in things like sending monies to Argentina, which does little to help America, and helping Argentina hurt our own farming communities. That's what it's all about. Now, for Canada repeating that video that Ronald Reagan did back in 87, Donald Trump has stopped all negotiations. Check this out, and then we'll take it on the other side.
President Trump announced overnight, just in the last few hours, he is ending all trade talks with Canada effective immediately over a Canadian television ad opposing U.S. tariffs. In a social media post, Trump wrote, quote, "The Ronald Reagan Foundation has just announced Canada has fraudulently used an advertisement, which is fake, featuring Ronald Reagan speaking negatively about tariffs." The television ad from the province of Ontario features audio from a 1987 Ronald Reagan speech that does criticize tariffs. We should note the audio is not fake, as the president claimed, but it was edited and rearranged. Here's a portion of that ad this morning.
Long run, such trade barriers. High tariffs inevitably lead to retaliation by foreign countries and the triggering of fierce trade wars. Then the worst happens. Markets shrink and collapse, businesses and industries shut down, and millions of people lose their jobs. Throughout the world, there's a growing realization that the way to prosperity for all nations is rejecting protectionist legislation and promoting fair and free competition.
That ad aired during an American League Championship Series game between the Toronto Blue Jays and Seattle Mariners, which pulled in more than 9 million viewers when it was broadcast. Former President Reagan's foundation says it is reviewing legal options, accusing the Ontario provincial government of using selective audio and video, saying the ad misrepresents Reagan's address and that Ontario's government did not seek nor receive permission to use and edit the remarks. The office of Canadian Prime Minister Mark Carney did not immediately respond to requests for comment, but a spokesperson for Ontario Premier Doug Ford denied any wrongdoing in the ad campaign, telling CBC News, quote, "The commercial uses an unedited excerpt from one of President Reagan's public addresses, which is available through public domain." So because of that ad, Joe, overnight, President of the United States saying, we're not talking to Canada, our neighbor to the north, anymore. He's very upset about that. Those are Reagan's words. Yes, edited. Things do get edited. We can go back to Reagan's comments about immigration. There are a lot of things we can call back to the man who was the touchstone for generations for conservatism.
Well, you know, around 3:30 this morning, I listened to the entire address. And it was an April 25th, 1987 radio address. It's on YouTube. And I have absolutely no idea what the Reagan Foundation is talking about, because those words in that Canadian ad were directly from that April 25th, 1987 address that is up on YouTube. And the bizarre thing is that in their statement, they directed dorks and nerds like me to YouTube to see that the Canadian ad reflected Reagan's feelings about tariffs 100%. And here is a direct, unedited clip from that address that sounds just like the Canadian ad. Roll it, TJ.
So soon, because of the prices made artificially high by tariffs that subsidize inefficiency and poor management, people stop buying. Then the worst happens. Markets shrink and collapse, businesses and industries shut down, and millions of people lose their jobs. The memory of all this occurring back in the 30s made me determined when I came to Washington to spare the American people the protectionist legislation that destroys prosperity.
It's all there. Willie, it's all there. Everything Ronald Reagan said, all the clips that were in that Canadian ad, that Ottawa ad, were all there in the address. It's really a very bizarre turn of events. Yesterday, Donald Trump said, well, I would have done the same thing if I were them. I understand why they did it. Then I don't know if somebody called the Reagan Foundation and said, hey, we need you to attack this ad. But they're attacking not only Reagan's words, but the foundation of Reagan's views on tariffs. He believed short-term tariffs were fine, but long-term tariffs, as he just said, wrecked the economy and would cost millions of people their jobs.
Yeah, it's strange. It's one thing for President Trump, we've come to expect that to misrepresent things, but for the Reagan Foundation itself to come out kind of in support of that argument is odd.
Now, again, he ends it well. Why is the Reagan Library? Why is the Reagan Library disputing or trying to give Canada hell for accurately representing what Ronald Reagan was all about? No tariffs. Look, I am not completely against tariffs, okay? There is a reason at times for tariffs. Now, we have already destroyed our manufacturing base. Bringing back tariffs in the way Donald Trump is doing is not going to make it any better for our country. After all, what you really have to do is rebuild an infrastructure, a manufacturing infrastructure from the bottom up, if that's what you really want. I mean, I think we should, but it's not going to take tariffs. It's going to take subsidies, investment and subsidies into small companies that are going to build the precursors to the parts of the economy the large manufacturing base needs. Glass bottles. We don't make a whole lot of those, right? You have to, and by the way, because we don't make a whole lot of those, the companies that create the machinery for sewing, for glass bottles, for all these things, that equipment isn't here yet. Donald Trump have tariffs on all of that. If we wanted to import equipment to start off or bring off those industries back to the United States, we couldn't. It's too damn expensive. Donald Trump knows little about economics, very little about economics. But those people who are benefiting from the tariffs, which was intent on applying a large tax on the American population, not the wealthy, a large tax on the American population is what tariffs are all about, without saying we're increasing taxes in order to fund the budget deficits that Donald Trump is running up and the excessive amount of grift that he's doing. He needs money. And he doesn't want to come out and say, I got to get the money by increasing taxes on the wealthy. And he can't stomach saying, I'm increasing taxes on everybody. So he just throws on to a tariff. And that tariff is a tax that all middle class and poor Americans pay. And that is how he brings the budget down a little bit. I mean, it's not going down, but I should say that is how he stops the excessive rise in his budget. Folks, like I said, all the time, number one, our economic system is a fraud. And having an economic system that is a fraud, that is managed by a fraudster, is the worst of all worlds. And we are paying the price of it. And the what's not reported in the media, the suffering that many are going through as jobs are lost. We don't get job reports anymore. We don't get inflation reports so far. Again, a new one that is from the government under the pretext that it's closed. There's a lot of hell to go through, folks. And that's where we're at right now. And that is where we're at right now, folks. Michael comes out with a piece, and I think that's important. And I want you to look at those. I can actually see why Texas is a little bit darker in blue, but not as dark as it could be, because of the oil industry. And they travel a lot. And, you know, we have places like Houston that is a very metropolitan city, Austin. So when we look at Houston, Austin, San Antonio, El Paso, Beaumont, these places have a whole lot of international people that have international reasons for traveling. Excellent. But then you look at Magaland. Look at Magaland. These are people that just don't travel enough to know about the rest of the world. And you can see that is where the cancer is, from those who don't travel and get a chance to see what the rest of the world has to offer. You know, Patrick says something very interesting. He says, most of my outspoken Trump supporters at work are very quiet now. Yeah, I wonder why they're quiet. They're quiet because, you know what? They know the pain they're about to hold on to, and now they're going to be looking for progressive solutions. They're going to want those things that we progressives support. Thank you for that screen grab, Michael Rudnin. That's a good... You follow that chart, and you can follow people's mentality in that chart. Take a look. That chart says it all. That chart almost tells you where MAGA land is, right? And all we have to say is, hey guys, let's all educate ourselves. Let's all do it. Let's all do it. Not a put down, just a saying, let's educate ourselves. You know, I was ignorant of a whole lot of things in my life. And you know what I did? I had good educators that brought me out of the fog, out of my ignorance. Anybody can do that. There's another, but I want to show you a little something about ignorance. But let me scroll down to a bit more, and then I'll get to it. I saw a girl in here. Did I see Bridge MCP in here? I thought I saw her in scrolling, and then my eyes jumped. No, I didn't miss the point, Michael. Just sometimes it doesn't come across as it should. Let's see what else have we got here. Para ver. There's a piece from Eric. Eric's answer to what that lady saw in Italy. I just want to show you the MAGA mind, right? I want to show you all the mind. When you find something that works better in your home, if you find something that is better, you find a better screwdriver, you find a better pot, you find something that is better, more efficient, and makes your life better. Do you obnoxiously say, well, that's not what I chose, so it's not good, and you keep screwing yourself with a pot where everything sticks, or a screwdriver that doesn't work and frays the screw? Or do you say, I've learned that there are other tools that are better? When we tell stories about healthcare in Italy, or you experience it yourself, you should want to come home and say, country, there's a better way. There is a better way. But when we have a ridiculously unintellectual statement like, well, go move to Italy, you have to wonder the thinking methodologies, right? And you have to hope that if that person has kids, that next generation wouldn't grow up with a mind like that, right? Think about it. Better solutions out there, and you say, okay, well, if you like that better solution, move there. Don't try to bring that good solution here. What sense does that make, people? It's stupid. And I don't use that word on my show. It slipped out. I'm sorry. All right. Bridge MCP says these narc boats are such BS. Look what happened with Mexico. Mexico hands suspect Chinese fentanyl kingpin over to the U.S. authorities. Minister said, look, it's ridiculous, man. Donald Trump is actually committing murder. These aren't murder. These are assassinations at sea. It shows you how little they think about humanity. But you know, our military has always looked at others without the care for their own lives, right? That's why they could come and bomb Panama and kill 10,000 Panamanians, right? Because the lives of others have no value. The lives of those brown people south of the border has no value. So he can, for political purposes, to make him seem strong, he want to feel strong. He has no problems blowing up a boat. He doesn't know how many children that guy has, right? How many kids does he have? Suppose, I want to ask you, suppose all these countries that have cartels decide that the arms dealer, the American arms dealers that are sending in AR-15s and sending in all these other guns into their country are a clear and present danger to their national security. And notice I'm using guns because actually that's what we export a lot of, right? Suppose these other countries see that as a clear and present danger and start knocking off boats driven by Americans into Colombia, boats driven by Americans into Trinidad, boats driven by Americans into these places. Suppose these countries start using their own Embraers, Brazilian jets or Brazilian planes, to start knocking these things out of the water. Americans, what do you think the American people and Donald Trump would say? Oh, we'll go to war if you start taking and knocking our stuff out. But we just go and assassinate people for the sake. It's a shame. It is a shame. It's a shame. It's a shame. Bree says, you cannot willy-nilly shoot boats, fishing boats without cause. They're not legal. It's not legal at all. These are criminal, and and again, remember what I said. We need to start preparing for when it's no longer a Trump administration. All the military brass that are doing these things, and it's not all of them, all of the military brass and well, I should leave the military alone for now. But all of those that are directing the military to execute these orders need to understand that when this administration is over, they all will be prosecuted. They will be prosecuted for murder, and I hope that The Hague will also do what is necessary to bring them into the fold, because they are criminals, they are thugs, they are killers, they are murderers. Patrick says many people in cognitive decline, Trump for example, revert to pre-adolescence. Trump's behavior is very similar to a preteen. I quit a firm 6 years ago when the owner displayed this behavior. The thing about it is, I think you're giving Donald Trump too much credit. He's not acting like a preteen. He's acting like a toddler. He's acting like a toddler. Egberto, play the whole 1.5 minutes. What are we talking about? I don't know what you're talking about, Michael Rudnin. I don't see... oh, yeah, conservatives, the chat. Let me see, what is this about? Oh, you found the entire Reagan thing? Let's see if I got time. No, I don't have the time. Bring that back to me for tomorrow. I got to get the last video played. So let's go ahead and get busy on that. Let's go ahead and do this. All right, folks. For those of you who saw Steve Bannon coming out and saying Donald Trump is going for a third term and we already have plans on how we're going to do it and all that kind of stuff, and the fear of people are starting to go out there. Let me first tell you something. This is what's known as trolling. Yes, they will try all kind of methods to maybe to keep him relevant. Remember, Donald Trump from the time he got reelected, he was a lame duck. He was a lame duck from the time he got reelected because, again, he doesn't have to go for another administration. So the only thing that they can do is to try to keep relevancy of this guy with the expectation like we better stay in line because he may be president in for a third term. Now, let me be clear. In as much as this is trolling, we still have to be careful. Because the very first time Donald Trump ran for president, or when he ran for president in 2016, he had no idea that he was going to win. He wasn't playing for winning. He was playing for attention. He was playing for building up a brand, a new brand again. He was going to be a perennial pain in the butt for whoever won. But guess what happened? He won. So now in his cráneo, in his mind, he is thinking, oh, maybe I could. First of all, I tell you what, listen to how Steve Bannon puts it. This is for the psyche of MAGA-land, to give them something to keep supporting Donald Trump. But also, this is to sort of put exactly what's happening to a lot of folks on the left. Oh my God, he's running again. No fear. We'll talk about it on the other side.
He's going to get a third term. So Trump 28, Trump is going to be president in 28. And people just ought to get accommodated with that.
So what about the 22nd Amendment?
There's many different alternatives. At the appropriate time, we'll lay out what the plan is, but there's a plan, and President Trump will be the president in 28. We had longer odds in 16 and longer odds in 24 than we got in 28. And President Trump will be the president of the United States, and the country needs him to be president of the United States. We have to finish what we started. And the way we finish it through Trump is a vehicle. I know this will drive you guys crazy, but he's a vehicle of divine providence. He's an instrument. He's very imperfect. He's not churchy, not particularly religious, but he's an instrument of divine will. And you can tell this of how he's pulled this off. We need him for at least one more term, right? And he'll get that in 28.
You're not driving me crazy. I'm trying to understand the coherence of the things you've just told me in the last few minutes. On the one hand, you've said the Constitution is fit for purpose. Secondly, you've said that President Trump needs another term, even though the 22nd Amendment makes pretty clear that he cannot have another term.
Why does it make that clear?
Because he's on his second term already.
At some point in time, we will make sure we go through, Zanny, and define all those terms. Okay?
But even if you find a way to undermine you will be undermining the spirit of that amendment, even if you find some way around it. And to those
Can the American people, if the American people, with the mechanisms we have, put Trump back in office, are the American people tearing up the Constitution? Would that be tearing up? Would the American people be going against the spirit of the Constitution, ma'am?
I think yes, actually, because I think what you will end up with is a populist justification for a quasi-dictatorship.
That's not true at all. We need to finish what we started. And President Trump is the instrument, a providential instrument to finish this job.
So yes, they try to make it like this evil nincompoop, this buffoon, this unintelligent person somehow has some special divine inspiration from God to reign America, to rule over America. This is the best that God could pick? To my MAGA folks, this is your representative of what you believe in? It speaks more of you for supporting a guy like this. But I digress. It's only about 30% of you guys that are solidly behind this guy, a sycophant no matter what he does. So the reality is, for the most part, you are irrelevant. I need you. We want you in our movement as well, but you're irrelevant for the outcomes of anything if all those who are for democracy, if all those who believe in democracy, who believe in freedom, etc., decide that they're going to go out and vote, irrespective of all the attempts that Donald Trump is going to use to try to suppress people's votes. So again, to the left that are running, oh my God, Steve Bannon said this, and it just may be that they'll try something. Of course, they will constantly try things to stay in power. But the power really belongs to you. Don't sit down and fear that he may do something. The military are made up of people like you. The National Guard made up with people like you. Now, ICE is a different story. ICE is made up of animals. ICE is made up of animals, buffoons. He is like the Tonto Maku for Baby Doc or one of these guys. You know, these thugs, thug leaders that have their own little private armies, but there are more of us than them. Let's remember that. So don't fear this trolling that he's doing. He's trying to look for relevance for the next 3 years. But just maybe if something falls into place accidentally like it did in 2016, well, he would have had a big ballroom where he can celebrate a third term. Not, folks, it's all on you. You know, earlier today, I was on the Attitude, the Arnie Arneson's show. I think she's out of Massachusetts. No, I think she's out of Vermont or New Hampshire. And I did her show, and we were talking about the ballroom. And one of the panelists said, you know, that ballroom could be the place where we have the trials, like the Nuremberg trials in where was it? Somewhere in Europe, right? And said, yeah, those is that we can actually build it because it's gonna dwarf. This stuff is gonna dwarf the White House. It's gonna be a monstrosity. it's going to be, this guy lives back in the past, right? So the things that are cool today are not cool. Well, anyhow. But let me tell you, they're acting as if they have a mandate. They're acting as if they're popular. The guy is at 38%, folks. His popularity is matching MAGA, meaning only MAGA support. Because, for a while he also had Republican support, meaning true conservative Republicans, some conservative Republican support. But he's even losing that. And now it's coalescing into just MAGA. As soon as it hits about 30%, that's just your sycophants, guys. That's just your sycophants. And what can I say? Anyhow, we got to get out of here. It's the weekend. I am going to try. I've had some very tough weekends in writing and getting a whole lot of stuff done. Hi, Harry. Great to see you here. Anybody I forgot to mention, forgive me. But I'm going to try to have a show for our paid subscribers on Sunday. Yeah, on Sunday. So again, I want to invite all who have the wherewithal to do so to please become a paid subscriber. It's what subsidizes all the channels that we support, all that we do. We cannot do this without you. So I am going to put in the chat the link to the newsletter. Please become a paid subscriber and be a part of our team. I'm putting it in both of our chats right now. Paid subscribers get a whole lot of little benefits here and there, most of them being able to read the 5 books that I currently have written. Do remember that I have 3 more books that I'm putting together, hopefully to be done in the next year. And all of that is for free for all of my subscribers, my paid subscribers, that is. Help us out. We need to keep this message going. We complain about people being uninformed. I dedicated my life going forward to do this kind of informing. And like I said this morning on our fund drive at KPFT, that fund drive was for KPFT. We need a fund drive for Politics Done Right on the internet, because I tell you what, folks, we have to keep communicating and finding all new ways to communicate. My channel is throttled. What throttling means is that those people who control who sees when you come up, it's throttling us. So email is our direct method of reaching people, but not only email, but other methods that's a bit more expensive as well. But please support us however you can. politicsandright.com/newsletter is the link. politicsandright.com/newsletter today. Lynette says, thank you, Egberto and team, and all those who participated today. It has been my honor to be with you today. Do something good. Can't wait to hear how you all are doing the work. We're doing it. You heard how I spoke about being at KPFT and cleaning toilets and putting up smoke alarms and all of that. We do everything there to keep that station up. Want to ask you guys to help us out here, because remember, all of that is on a volunteer basis. Please give us the best you can. politicsandright.com/newsletter. politicsandright.com/newsletter. Got to get out of here. My name is Egberto Willies. Love you all. You can send me email directly, info@politicsandright.com. info@politicsandright.com. Anyway, folks, have a wonderful rest of the day. My name is Egberto Willies. This is Politics Done Right, and you guys know how I end this baby. I am what? Out! Welcome to Politics Done Right. I am your host, Egberto Willies. This is a progressive program that will take the mystery out of politics. This is the program that will encourage you to make sure government becomes we the people. Whether you are liberal, progressive, conservative, or otherwise, you get to air your point of view. We are an independent media outlet that, unlike mainstream media beholden to corporations, we only owe allegiance to you. Remember, you can also send me a tweet at EGBERTOWILLIES. That is at Egberto Willies. Let us engage. It is Politics Done Right.